Hi, this is Lauren Hollows, Understand TAE, and this is our question of the week. We are coming to you a little bit late. I do apologise. I was having some very enjoyable time at the zoo with my 4-year-old this morning. We are talking this week about training and assessing your own staff, and this happens across a vast majority of RTOs, and there's a whole bunch of really valid reasons for it. So I wanted to go through some of the reasons why you might train and assess your own staff. Sometimes and quite often it's because it's very niche. You might be working in a very particular area and there's actually not a lot of RTOs that offer that particular training and assessment either within your state or sometimes within the whole country. We also have RTOs that choose to train and assess their own staff because they're doing it through a traineeship or apprenticeship sort of arrangement. Quite often I'll see this in the sort of the business area and things like this, where you want to kind of upskill your staff in either customer engagement skills, and it's part of kind of an overall training and assessment plan that occurs as part of a professional development plan for staff. The other reason why is obviously there are sometimes cost factors involved in it, and it can be a less cost prohibitive exercise to train and assess your own staff than by training and assessing staff, getting staff trained and assessed outside of the RTO. So where does this become an issue? Well, look, first and foremost, we need to look at whether or not there is a conflict of interest in inherently training staff. Now, universities deal with this very, very well. Most universities will have a very clear conflict of interest policy and procedure. Universities are quite large, and obviously when we're dealing with most RTOs, we're dealing with slightly smaller, businesses and things like that with less resources and abilities. So I will do a little shout out to RTO Doctor here. We were actually discussing this topic only this week, and I know that RTO Doctor has got a fairly comprehensive set of policies, procedures, documents, tools, templates in order to support conflict of interest in training and assessment. So if you want to reach out to Raylene on that one, you can. Other RTOs will develop their own internal policies, and some of the things to think about when you're going through and establishing whether or not you've got a conflict of interest policy, whether or not you need to set one up, is what are the relationships that your assessors have with your students. If there is an interest, if there is a relationship, is there a collegial relationship where you've got one assessor, where you've got assessors that have kind of got to co-assess each other and things like that. That can be really, really problematic. Is it a situation where you might have an assessor that is training and assessing a student that they've got a personal relationship with, that they've had a sexual relationship with in any way, shape or form? Are they training and assessing family members? Are you training and assessing where you've got a relationship as they are your direct manager or you are their direct manager? So all of these things need to be taken into account. Then you've got to look at how you're actually going to address conflict of interest. And look, essentially this boils back to standard 1.8, and we always come back to the standards every week when we're talking about training and assessing. Standard 1.8, principles of assessment, rules of evidence. So what are some of the things that you need to be considering here? Well, ultimately we need to make sure that the assessment is fair. We need to make sure that the evidence judgment is valid. So when you've got an assessor looking at this and, for example, they turn around and say, well, look, you're assessing somebody who you've got a very, clear relationship within that they're your manager. How reliable is that evidence? How reliable was that determination? Once you've established that there is a conflict of interest, it's looking at how you're going to manage it, and there's a range of ways that you can manage it. So you can look at bringing in external validators to support that decision, and that might be external industry validators, that might be internal vet validators from that perspective. So it might form part of the validation process. You might choose to moderate the decisions before finalizing them. You may choose that in certain circumstances it's not appropriate for one particular assessor. It may actually be a group of assessors, and that there might be more of a group that actually makes that determination. You might choose to up the evidence that happens. So one of the common things when you're looking at training and assessing your internal staff, those internal staff have had access to your marking guides. Do you need to have a separate assessment in order to actually be able to, fairly and reliably provide that assessment to them? so there's a whole range of mechanisms that you can actually use in order to ensure that the decision still meets your principles of assessment rules of evidence. It's not about not being able to assess your internal staff. It's about how you're assessing them, how you're managing those risks, and how you're ultimately ensuring that the evidence that you're providing meets the standards of the training packages, the principal assessment rules of evidence, coming back to standard 1.8. So I hope you found this helpful. As I said, shout out to RTO Doctor if you don't have a policy and procedure. If you are regularly training and assessing your internal staff, it's a good time to have a look at your policies, being that we've only got another 2 weeks before we're going to be submitting our declarations of annual compliance, and that might be able to be something that you're going to be forming as part of your continuous improvement. I hope you found this helpful. I do apologize. These seem to be getting a little bit longer every week, but hopefully you have found it helpful, and I will see you again next week. This is Lauren Hollows signing out for Understand TAE with our question of the week.